Very good evening to everyone. Hope you are enjoying the course. We are on the second week and third lecture. Today again we are going to discuss very important topic which talks about digital marketing assessment. So it is a very prerequisite that whenever we are going for formulating the digital marketing strategy, we have to assess our capability, we have to assess the marketing capabilities, the internal and external environment factors, the overall business environment factors that might influence our strategy. So it becomes very important to assess before we actually strategize or we actually formulate the digital marketing strategy. So in the process of developing digital marketing strategy, the digital marketing assessment becomes a very important or key aspect or key activity. So let us discuss today about the aspects of digital marketing assessment. So when we say digital marketing assessment, what does it actually mean? So digital marketing assessment is very important, as we have discussed, and it is something which is prerequisite, it is a preliminary step in the strategy formulation. So whenever we are planning to formulate the strategy for the business, be it the business strategy, be it any departmental strategy, or more specifically to our course, if we are planning for marketing strategy, and in marketing strategy, when we are planning for digital marketing strategy, it becomes very imperative that we go for digital marketing assessment. So what assessment helps with? So it provides a clear picture about the business environment. So the business environment, we all know that any business, it performs in the environment. Those environment could be the internal business environment or it could be the external business environment. The internal business environment, as we know, are also known as the controllable environment factors, and the external environment are uncontrollable environmental factors. So we have to make a balance. We have to study all, whether it is internal factors or external business factors. We need to study all, and accordingly we have to make plan, accordingly we have to assess, and accordingly we have to make the strategy for our digital marketing, right? So the marketing assessment, it helps us in giving the clear picture about the business environment, what is the marketing capabilities, and the targeted goals and objectives of the organizations. So our lecture would be discussing about these aspects in a detailed way, right? So whether to set the goal first and then perform situational analysis, or vice versa, is a point of discussion. In many literature, we find that it is important to go for situation analysis first and accordingly plan the goal. But in some other literature, they say you set the goal, you have a prior experience, you have past experience, based on those experience you set the goals, and then you do situation analysis for the current business scenario. So it is a point of discussion, it is a point of debate whether to go for goal formulation first and then do the situation analysis, or we do situation analysis and then we go for goal formulation. So there is a difference in this opinion, but for the discussion we would be discussing how to formulate the goal and then we will move for the situational analysis. So in this context, we will be discussing about the digital marketing assessment, and in digital marketing assessment we will be discussing about setting the goals and the objectives, and then we will be discussing about the situational analysis. In situational analysis, we will be discussing about three different aspects. First is internal audit, which talks about the internal marketing capabilities of any organization. Then we will be discussing about the closed micro environment analysis, and then the wider macro environment analysis. So in this, by analyzing all these three aspects, the internal environment, the micro environment, and the macro environment, we are in a position to analyze the situation, and accordingly we can assess the marketing, we can assess the digital marketing scenario, and based on this we can actually formulate the strategy, we can formulate the strategy. So the very first thing that we are going to discuss today is setting goals and objectives. So as we know that defining the clear business objective is prerequisite for any marketing strategy. So if we have a well defined and clear objectives and goals, then it provides clarity of direction. So this clarity of direction is again very important management concept, management principle, which talks about that there should be clarity in the direction, be it organizational goals or be it individual goals. There should be unity in direction and clarity of direction, and they should move towards a similar direction they should move towards, right? So when we have a clear objective and goals, then it provide us the clarity as in where, in which direction we have to move ahead, in which direction we have to go ahead, right? So the digital marketer should ensure that the specific digital marketing objective should align with the business goals. So whatever business goals we are setting and whatever we are framing the marketing objectives, the digital marketing objectives, that should align with the business goal. So if you remember our previous lecture, in that we discussed that there should be proper alignment of traditional marketing with the digital marketing, and these marketing goals and the marketing strategies that should align with the business strategy. So we need to understand that there should be a unity in the direction, as in the business strategy, whatever it is talking about, the marketing strategy should be able to decode it and should be such that it is going to help in achieving the business strategy or the business goal. So this is a pyramid which talks about various aspects, which talks about vision, and there is something called vision and also mission. So vision is like the broader aspect, as in the very statement, the very reason why the company have been incorporated, the very purpose of the existence of the business is basically talked in vision. Mission are more measurable and more defined or detailed goal of any organization, as in what it actually what vision talks about what should be done, and what should be done as in this is the self actualization stage. If we talk about Maslow's need hierarchy, this is the level of self actualization. So vision is something for the corporate, and mission is as in how we are going to achieve the vision. The mission is basically a more detailed procedural aspect, right? So vision, as we said, it is a high level statement of how digital marketing will contribute towards the organization. Goals, on another hand, it talks about the broad aims to show how the business can benefit from digital channels. So how the business is going to benefit when it moves from a traditional marketing system to the digital marketing system, and it also describes how the digital marketing is going to contribute to the business in the key areas of growing sales, communicating with the audience or with the customers, and how it is going to save money and also generate revenue for the organization. So goal are the broader aspects, broader we can say missions or broader objectives that we are going to achieve. Objectives are more specific in nature, and it is more in the form of measurable things, and it is more quantified aspects, and it is more specific in nature, and it is more time bound also, right? So objectives is like breakdown of the goals of the organization. So what actually the business want to achieve are basically the goals, and how it is going to be achieved by breaking it down into more doable things is basically what objective it is meant by. So a specific SMART objectives. So we are going to discuss what SMART is. So specific SMART objectives to give clear direction and commercial targets. So objectives are SMART target for digital marketing, which can be used to track performance against target. So whatever target we are fixing, how the SMART objectives could be achieved in how could these SMART objectives would be a directional effort would be towards achieving these objectives, and how we are going to track our performance and we can compare it with the target. So we were talking about the SMART objectives. So SMART is the acronym for specific, measurable, actionable, relevant and time related. So to assess, or the criteria to assess the suitability of the objectives which are set to drive the business strategy, or which are set to drive the overall digital marketing efforts. We need to check whether it is suitable or not, whether the objectives are suitable or not. So the suitability of the objects depend upon these 5 aspects which make it as a SMART objectives. So what are those 5 aspects? So it should be very specific. So the objective should be specific. So in comparison to vision, when you look for the vision of any organization, the vision are more abstract, the vision are more, it's a very long term, and it not necessarily does not highlight what actually business are into, right? But however, the objectives are more specific in nature. It talks specifically like 10% growth, or 15% market share increase, or the online visitors on our website has to be increased by say 1 million. So they are more quantifiable information, they are more quantifiable objectives. So it has to be specific. Also it should be measurable. So there should be some metric, there should be some technique through which we can actually measure the objective of whatever objective we are going to, whether we have achieved it or not. So it should be such that we are in a position to actually measure our objectives. So unless and until our objectives are not quantified, so it should be quantified. If it is more of quality objectives, it is probably more difficult to assess or to measure the quality objectives. So it should be more quantitative objective should be there. It should be actionable. So when we say it should be actionable, we actually mean that it should be doable. So the objective should not be such that it is beyond the purview or beyond the capabilities of the organization. Rather, it should be something which is doable for the organization. So we need to assess our capabilities, we have to assess our constraints, and accordingly we have to find whether this particular objective is doable or not, whether this particular objective is actionable or not. Next is it should be relevant. So when we say it should be relevant, means it should align with the vision, it should align with the goal of the company, and it should, when it is specifically when we talk about the digital marketing effort, then it should align with the traditional marketing, overall marketing strategy. So it should be relevant, and also it should be relevant for the current business scenario, the contemporary business environment. It should be relevant to that also. It should be time bound and time related. So there should be some time aspects, by what duration it would be completed. The point is this objective should be time bound. So if we don't have this constraint of time, so the objectives, they becomes more difficult to attain. So unless and until you attach the time factor with any objectives, it becomes very difficult for any organization to do it within the time frame. So this becomes again very important to make sure that the marketers do or achieve or strive to achieve the objectives within the time duration. So time is very important for any organization. If there is no proper timely decision making, if there is no timely actions, so probably the opportunity would be lost, and your competitor might get the opportunity to do the same thing, and you might lose the opportunity and you stay behind or you lag behind, right? So it becomes very imperative that the objectives should be time bound, it should be time related. So this was SMART objectives. Now the fourth one is the pyramid. If you remember the pyramid, the last bottom was KPIs. So KPIs are basically key performance indicators. They are also known as CSFs, that is critical success factors. So KPIs are key indicators which helps in assessing the business scenario. So these are to ensure whether the business activities are on track or not. So if we have set certain goal and we have to keep certain indicators, some performance indicator should be there, some like sales indicator, revenue indicator, customer acquisition indicator, and so on. So those indicators basically ensure that whether the business activities are on track or not. So they are the specific metrics which are used to track the performance, to make sure whether you are on track to meet the specific objective. So whatever objectives you have set, you have to have regular monitoring. You have to have the interim monitoring to check whether you are going or you are moving on the right track or not. So the KPIs are very essential. It is very helpful in understanding, in ensuring whether the performance is on track or not. So as we have said, they are also known as the performance drivers or the critical success factors. So moving ahead to the next aspect is when we ultimately formulate the digital marketing objectives, what are the areas or what are the domains where it should basically target upon. So in broadly, it can be classified into four aspects, like the objectives related to the stakeholders, objective related to customers, objective related to the competition, objective related to the markets. So these aspects, on these dimensions, we can actually frame the objectives. And as we have said before, of actually formulating the objectives, we have to assess our capabilities as well. So like in case of stakeholder objectives, it could be sales or say revenue, return on investment. So there would be investors who might be interested on return on investment. There would be shareholders who might be interested. So they are the various stakeholders, and also the shareholders. So they might be interested on the return also, right? So that could also be one of the major objective for the digital marketing. Return on sales, profitability, and the cost reduction, and so on. Similarly, on the customer front, so awareness, how many customers become aware and how many customers have visited your social media pages or your landing pages and so on. So awareness, how many of them have been acquired, how many of them, if you remember from the last lecture, we discussed about this IDA model and so on. So how many of them have been converted again into the lead, how many have been converted into ultimately the customers, how we are being able to engage them, retain them, and satisfy them. So there could be different objectives, talking about these aspects. And these objectives could be tangible or intangible. In both aspects it could be, right? Like for example, brand recognition, brand loyalty, and satisfaction, they are all intangible aspects, but again there are certain metric which are available, which are helpful in assessing or measuring the satisfaction level and so on. So keeping in competition in the mind, we will be interested in setting the objectives like market share. For example, we are going to increase the market share by 10%. A mind share, when we say mind share, is means how popular our brand is, how popular our company name is. So how popular is our product, it is whether it is have been properly positioned into the mind of the customer or not. So we can also talk about that. Then digital presence. So what is our digital presence, whether we are the laggards, digital laggards, or digital leaders. So we'll be discussing. So probably you must be aware, and you can also go through, there is certain metrics called digital presence metrics, so which talks about digital laggard, digital leader, and so on. And our social media presence, the digital marketing objective could also talk about that we would be engaging so and so many social media traffic, and that could be whether we would be the competitive leader in this particular industry or domain or any product. And also it could be, objectives could be on core competency and such. And similarly, there could be the market objective as well, like industry leadership, segment leadership, channel leadership, and in the terms of product and service development, and also to have a technology edge, so that you have a different marketing, you have a different competency edge over other competitors in the whole market. So that gives you the technology edge. So all this could be the marketing objectives in overall. So that is one aspect, that is setting goals and objective of the organization. Moving ahead is the situation analysis. The second aspect that of our lecture that we are going to discuss today is situation analysis. So what is situation analysis? As we know that situation analysis play a very vital role in shaping a marketing plan by providing a comprehensive understanding of both internal and external factors which is impacting the business and also the marketing endeavors. So there are various internal and external factors are there which might affect our decision. So we need to have a comprehensive understanding of these factors, and this situation analysis helps in understanding those internal and external factors. So it is an in-depth examination and evaluation of organizations internal and external environment, and it helps in understanding the current position of the organization, the strength, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats of the organization. So if we discuss this, probably in your mind you have developed that is SWOT, right? So we will be discussing SWOT analysis as well today. So situation analysis is going to help in all these aspects. So there are various frameworks, there are various models, there are various techniques which helps in understanding the internal and external environment of the business. It helps in understanding the situation of the organization, the current position of the organization. So typically the situation analysis, it comprises of the assessment of internal capabilities, resources and processes. So internal is important. So what are our own capabilities, what is company's resources, what are the key processes which makes us different from the competitors, and the analysis of immediate competitive environment, or rather we say it's a micro environment like the suppliers, customers, intermediaries and so on. Similarly, analysis of wider environment, that is macro environment, and it is political, legal, technological, socio-cultural and all those aspects, they are comes under the wider environment, and we try to assess the wider environment in the micro environment analysis, right? So in total these three analysis, the assessment of these three areas, the internal capability, the immediate competitive environment and the wider environment, it helps in understanding the scenario, the current position of the business. It helps in the situation analysis of the organization. So we'll be discussing it one by one. So for understanding the internal capability, McKinsey's 7S framework is very helpful. So reviewing the internal capability of the organization can be done through McKinsey's 7S framework. So 7S stands for 7 S's. So what are the 7 S? They are strategy, system, structure, shared values, skills, style and staff. And if you see it, these all S are interlinked with each other, as in they play a very important role, and they are interconnected with each other, as in they also affect each other. So strategy, as in what the business strategies you are formulating, the strategy of the organization, what are the different aspects of the organization, so that we discuss in our strategy. What is the organizational structure? We know we have an hierarchy in an organization where we have top level managers, middle level managers, lower level managers and so on. So what is the structure of the organization, whether it is centralized, decentralized and so on. What are the various systems that are prevailing in the organization, what are the different processes are there which are prevailing in the organizations, and the shared value, what is the value system in the organization. Also we talk about the style, what are the various leadership style, what are the various whether it is a democratic, whether it is autocratic, whether it is a free reign. So what are the various style of management in that particular organization. And all staff talks about the interpersonal relationship between the various people who are involved in the organizations. So they specifically covers the staff and the skill set that the organization has. So the core skills, the core competence that the organization have. So all these should be very robust in order to ensure the internal capabilities. So these all should be strengthened to ensure to have a strong internal capabilities. Again, it is very imperative to understand here that the system, strategy and structure, these are the hard elements. So when we say hard element, it means they are more rigid in nature, and it is very difficult to actually make them flexible or to change it very frequently. However, the soft elements are more intangible in nature. They are more intangible in nature, and again it is more qualitative aspect it can be modified with time and so on. So they are more qualitative in nature, they are more the soft elements, they are the soft elements. So the McKinsey 7S model is helpful in reviewing the internal capabilities of the organization. Then SWOT analysis, this is very popular and very common analysis. SWOT analysis stands for strength, weakness, opportunities and threat. So what are the strength and weaknesses? They are the internal, and opportunities and threats, they are the external. So what are the company's organizational strengths are there, and what are our weaknesses? So our strength could be our product, our brand image, and probably our price would be one weakness. Price could be weakness in the sense that the price could not be very competitive, it is higher in comparison to the competition. So again, weaknesses, there could be different other weaknesses as well, like we might not have independent in supplies, we are more dependent on the suppliers, so that could be one weakness. So there, or maybe we are in brick and mortar concept, we are not present, we have very weak digital presence, so that could be one weakness. So all these aspects and strength could be, we have a very wonderful mechanism for customer engagement. So probably and then there are opportunities, various opportunities are available in the environment market, but again there could be different threats as well, like threats of new entrant, threats of rivals, threat of bargaining of suppliers and so on. Also intersection of this will give us the strength opportunities. So assessing our strength, how we can actually take the leverage of the opportunities, how we can manage our, we can balance our strength and weakness, and we can have a strategy out of it, how we can balance the opportunities and threat of the business environment, and according plan our strategy, how we can balance our weaknesses, and how to ensure that those weaknesses are not does not gets affected by the threat of the environment. So how to tackle this aspect also we have to discuss. So keeping all these understandings, all these things helps in understanding the organizational internal strength and weaknesses, and along with the external opportunities and threats. So all these would help in framing the strategy of any organization. Similarly, in order to understand the internal and external forces, so Potter's 5-force model is also become very important aspect. So Potter have suggested that there are 5 forces which shapes the organization's strategy. So any organization should keep in mind these 5 factors which might affect its strategy, right? So there is threat of substitute. So anytime any substitute can come and it can affect the very existence of the organization. And also there is a threat of new entrant. So any new entry, any new rivalry can come. So and also the competition among the various organizations in the industry, that is again very important. And the bargaining power of the buyers, if the buyers are more they have more power in bargaining, so probably overall they can reduce the price. You can they can force the company to reduce the prices and so on. So the bargaining powers of the buyers is again we need to keep in mind their bargaining powers, and also how much we are dependent upon the suppliers. So what is the bargaining power of the suppliers, that is also it is very important. So all these 5 forces has to be assessed, should be examined properly to understand whether it is to understand the dynamics of the organization and how it is going to affect the profitability of any organization. So this 5-force model is also have emerged as a very important framework in order to formulate the digital marketing strategy of any organization. Then this last analysis is Pestel. This is more of external analysis, macro environment that we were talking about. So last one, the Potter, it was more of micro environment. So it is more of macro environment analysis. So Pestel, it stands for political, economical, social, technological, environmental and legal. So political aspects, there are various political like fiscal policy, government activity, conflict, tax regulation and so on. And then there could be economical aspects, also the GDP, the exchange rate, employment rate, inflation. There could be social factors as well, demographic variables. So this is very much affecting the demographic. When we talk about digital marketing, this demographic variables, the cultural factors, the lifestyle, the education level, these are very much affecting the social media. So they are very important. Also the technology have changed the whole dynamics of the environment. So the infrastructure, the emergence of internet, the technology trend, it has revolutionized the whole marketing system, and it has changed the whole traditional marketing into the more digital marketing. Then there are environmental aspects also, like sustainable consumption is there, natural risk is there, environment policies, so and so on. Similarly, there are various legal aspect also, which talks about the wage rate, right, job securities, many regulations, many controlled over the marketing. So all these aspects should also be analyzed to study the effect of these macro environment factors. So these key external factors also affect the strategy of any organization. So when we go through all these analysis, be it the McKinsey 7S model, or the Potter's 5 force model, or Pestel model, or SWOT analysis, these overall helps in understanding or assessing the internal, external, that is micro and macro environment of any organization, and it helps in effective formulation of the strategy. So hereby we can formulate the strategy of our organization. So that is all for today. Thank you so much. We will meet in the next lecture. Thank you.